Hey friends, welcome back to Virtual Sunday School. If you joined us last week, you heard about the story of what happened to Jesus. You see he's got the holes in his hands here. After God made Jesus alive again. Jesus wanted to find his disciples, and he found two of them on the road to Emmaus. But what was interesting about that story is that they did not even recognize Jesus when they first saw him. And when they did realize it was Jesus, he had left. But what happened next? That's what we're going to talk about today. You may remember Jesus had 12 disciples and he wanted to go and find all of them. So our story today begins when Jesus decided to go and find the other disciples. 7 of his disciples actually happened to be out on a boat in the Sea of Galilee. The sea, or the ocean as you may also know it, is often a strange and beautiful place. Have you ever been to the ocean right before a big storm and the waves start to get a lot more intense and you have to get out of the water? That's what was happening to our disciples in our story. The wind was blowing so much that the ship was on the water, but then the waves started getting so intense and the boat started rocking and changing. A lot of Jesus' disciples were fishermen. That was their job and how they provided money for their family. So they had their nets and they would throw them into the water and pull them up and nothing. They were trying to catch fish in their nets, but they caught 0 fish. They were even out fishing all night long. And when the sun started to come up, they still didn't have any fish in their nets. So friends, let's use our imaginations and some fun props to tell the rest of our story. Hey, Thomas, Nathaniel, James, any luck catching fish? Sorry, Peter, no fish yet on our end, still empty nets. Well, what about the rest of you? John, Philip, and Andrew? Have you caught any fish? No fish on our end either. Yeah, not catching anything, not even dirty shoes. Psst. Hey, do you see that guy on the shore over there? Yeah, I do. He looks kind of familiar, but I'm not sure who he is. I'm not sure either, but you're right. He does look familiar. Have you all caught anything yet? No, we haven't caught anything. Cast your nets to the right side of the boat.
Who is this guy? Does he think we haven't tried that yet?
I'm willing to try anything at this point. Come on, men. Toss the net over to the right side. Whoa, there's so many fish in here. Oh, come on, friends. Oh. Wow, even with all of us together, we can't get this fish net up. There's so many. Wow. Wait, I think that's Jesus over on the shore. Jesus. Is Peter swimming to shore? It really is Jesus. Come join me and eat. Take and eat the fish that I have helped you to catch. Peter, I saw you jump in the water and swim to me. Do you love me more than these others? Yes, you know that I love you. Then feed my lambs. Peter, do you love me? Yes, you know that I love you. Then tend to my sheep. Peter, do you love me? What? I'm sad by this question a third time. You know everything, Jesus. You know that I love you. Then tend to my sheep. Peter, follow me. Friends, that is our Bible story for the week. I really loved and find it so interesting that Jesus helped the disciples catch all those fish when moments before they had caught nothing. I think Jesus once again showed his disciples how powerful he was with God. I wonder how the disciples felt being with Jesus again. Jesus had come back to tell his disciples what had happened and to show them how powerful God was. Jesus wants all of his disciples to lead and follow his example by showing unconditional love to the world. I wonder how we can follow in Jesus' example today. You're in luck because Miss Erin and her son Nathan have actually thought of a few examples. Let's go check out our activity for the day and see how we can follow in Jesus' example.
Good morning, everybody. I am here today. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to follow Jesus' example. Nathan is with me today, my son.
Hi.
To help me out in this conversation. So, Nathan, when I was probably about your age, maybe a little bit older, kids wore a bracelet. You know those kind of rubber bracelets you get free sometimes?
Yeah.
And the bracelets had 4 letters on them. The letters were WWJD. Do you know what it stood for?
Nope.
It stood for, what would Jesus do? And it was just a little reminder when you wore that bracelet to think about what Jesus would do in a situation. If we want to follow his example, the best way to do that is to think what Jesus would do in a situation and then try to act more like we think he would act. So, I want to give you an example. It's going to be kind of a quiz and see how you do.
All right.
Okay. So, I want you to imagine that you're in kind of a tough situation. Like you're not really sure how you're supposed to act. So you are going to pretend, just think in your head that it's after school, you've come home, you kind of want to unwind after the day, and you're playing on your own. In your room, playing with a toy you like. Let's say you're playing Beyblades.
All right.
And your brother comes in and says, you know what? That's actually my Beyblade. I gave that to you. I want it back. Now, you have a bunch of different ways that you can respond. And I want you I'm going to give you a few different choices and tell me which is the right one. You could say, whatever, and just shut your door on him. You could say, oh, okay, and just give it to him. You could just kind of whap him a little bit and yell at him. Or you could say, oh, I remember when you gave this to me. I've been playing with it now. Can we talk about it? Which one of those do you think would be the way that Jesus?
One of these two.
Either, sure, give it right back to him, or hey, let's talk about it.
Probably Halo to talk about it. For me.
I think you might be right. So now let's say you're in your room and you're playing Beyblades and your brother comes in and says, can I borrow those? I want to play with those. I want to play with those. And now your choices are, you can say, no, you can't play with them. They're mine. You can hit him. Always an option. Never a good option, but always an option. You can say, hey, I'm playing with him right now, but I'll give you a turn as soon as I'm done. Or maybe we could play together in like 5 minutes.
one of the last two, and I actually have one that I'd probably do. I'd be like, hey, I might do like 5 or 10 more minutes, and then you can do it for like 10, 15 minutes. You can play with them for like 10, 15 minutes.
And like working out a way that you're taking turns?
Yeah.
I think so. I think those are good options. When you think about Jesus in the stories, Jesus is strong. And he stands up for the things that he knows are right. But he's also very kind. And so sometimes when you're faced with a tricky situation, it can be hard to know exactly what to do. And it can be easier to picture how someone else might handle it. So the next time that you're in a situation, I want you to stop for a second and think, maybe, how do I think Jesus would handle this one? How could I be both kind and strong in this situation? And maybe let that be your guide. So I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.